Hello and welcome to another installment of the Living Oracle podcast, where I bring through Akashic guidance for ascending souls. I'm your host, Amy Belair. Thank you for being here, first of all. Second of all, this is an energy report style podcast, so although I am going to be speaking into the current energies at the moment of recording, which today is Tuesday, May 13th, 2025, the codes and the guidance and the Akashic wisdom that gets woven through these episodes is truly timeless. And so if you're ever in need of guidance, if you're at a crossroads, if you're like, I don't know what decision to make, I don't know what to do, things aren't making sense, or if you're just feeling amazing and you want to stay plugged in and you want to accelerate your activations and receive more codes and downloads, you can allow yourself to be intuitively guided to any single one of these episodes, no matter when they were recorded, and it will hold messages that you need to hear at the time that you listen. Even if it was recorded 8 months ago, doesn't matter, because what is time anyways? And to be honest, we're shifting into a much more quantum level of consciousness. We're shifting beyond the limitations of a linear paradigm of reality. And we are shifting increasingly into a quantum experience of reality, which means that everything is everywhere all at once. I'm pretty sure there's a movie called Everything Everywhere All at Once or something to that effect. And at one point, a bunch of people told me to watch it and I never did, because I don't actually watch a lot of movies and TV. Sometimes I do, okay? This isn't like a moral thing. It's like my sigh was because because I'm always busy and that bums me out. Also, second of all, I guess, before I get into the guidance of this week, I also have another podcast. It's my original podcast called the Third Eye Awakening podcast. And you can find it wherever you want. But if you're here for interesting conversations about spiritual awakening, psychic activation, the Akashic records, the universe, the multiverse, all the good things, then you can go check that podcast out. It's basically going on 6 years of episodes. So yeah, have at it. Otherwise, let's get into this energy report. Okay. Third of all, this might be a bit of a lackluster energy report because I'm recording to you through a stomach ache. My children got a really bad case of the stomach flu. My daughter first. She was taken out all last week, had her home from Tuesday to Friday. And then on Thursday, my son started puking and pooping at the exact same time. And he is still home with me today. And I got sick on Mother's Day. So my Mother's Day was a total bust. And I'm still kind of sick. And it's just such a bummer. So I'm a little late to the game because I wanted to record this energy report. I had wanted to do it on Friday so I could speak into the energies of the full moon. But you know what? I am leaning farther and farther away from any sort of predictive work on the collective level. And I even use it very judiciously in my private client work and readings. So if you don't know, you probably do, but amazingly, people have been coming to me brand new. They found this podcast before they found Third Eye Awakening. So you're pretty new to me if that's the case. And yo, what's up? Thanks for being here. But I started this business as a podcaster and an Akashic Records reader. And I am currently retired from single session Akashic readings. So you cannot book just a one-off reading with me anymore because it feels like I've been on 6 years of first dates. And as a Scorpio, I'm over it. I love it, but as a Scorpio, I always want to go deeper. And I think about the people that I've read for all the time. And I just want to ask you a billion more questions, and I just want to understand you better. I want to explore it all with you, and yet you guys don't come back. Some of you do actually, though. And for all of you who have been return clients. I love you and I really appreciate you. And I appreciate everybody who's been a one-off client too, but I get a little salty, to be honest, after a while. It does feel like going on a billion first dates. And I'm like, well, when the fuck are you going to put a ring on it? Like, you want me to answer all of your problems or answer all of your questions and solve all your problems in an hour? That's not how it works for anyone, no matter how good I am in the Akashic Records. Anyways, you're getting a personal revelation that is undoubtedly spilling out due to the thinner filters resulting from 3 days of imposed fasting brought on by a stomach flu. Anyway, so I'm an Akashic Records reader. So in my private readings, one of the things that I love to do the most is to tune into people's future timelines and anchor them into those future timelines, those highest timelines, because I'm an oracle. So I move with a lot of dexterity through past, present, and future, parallel, alternate timelines, through the dimensions. I'm a quantum bitch. And even in those readings, like, I will use that skill rather judiciously, because to come back around to the point where I started tangent rambling, I feel like there's not a lot of point in predicting. Any kind of predictive work is pretty much our fearful ego mind that is really scared of the future and is really scared of what might happen and wants to know the how, wants to know the path. And God, I have this part of my mind, which I've been grappling with heavily over this Scorpio full moon. I have this part of my mind too. So I have a lot of compassion because I'm not above it. But our fearful mind wants to know ahead of time so it can prepare. But that's not the way it works. And we can never truly know ahead of time. And guess what? When you try to predict something, you actually end up planting the seeds in a predictive programming way. The favorite tool of the false matrix, predictive programming and propaganda. You plant the seeds of how it will go. And it could have gone any number of ways, because we truly live in a quantum reality where the sky is the limit, genuinely, and where, there are infinite probabilities that can play out. This is a choose your own adventure style realm. And predicting just locks us into certain timelines. Now, that can be beneficial, as I said, when you're doing higher timeline work and I'm anchoring somebody into their highest timeline. Sometimes we want it to collapse. We want the probability wave to collapse into the manifestation of the highest timeline. But when it comes to collective energy reports, I'm just really vibing with describing the energy in the moment rather than, I could record these energy reports like a week before the full moon, like a lot of astrologers and energy reporters do. But like, what fucking good is that anyway? Like, can we prepare for this shit? I don't know. It's just like I don't know. I feel like we're all at the mercy of the friggin' cosmic weather patterns, and we just have to surrender. Like, I guess that's the point that I'm trying to get at, is that prediction is an attempt to control, but really the flex is in the surrender. And it's not just a flex. It's like, that's all you can do at the end of the day anyway, is surrender and move with the current of your life and the cosmic weather at any given time, and learn the lessons and like experience the healing without trying to over intellectualize all of it in advance so that you can, like, I don't know, hopefully avoid the worst of it. So anyway, I guess I'll get into the energies, the current energies. So, the Scorpio full moon, like, I just feel like this one did me so dirty. This was a really hard one for me. And I am a Scorpio sun, so possibly that's why. It was so hard, but I think it's also because I've been resisting some internal changes that, like, my higher self, my true self knows what way it wants to go, but my fearful ego mind has no fucking clue how I'm going to get there. And it feels so far away that my fearful ego mind wants it wants the path. It wants to try and intellectualize it and rationalize it. So I think that's probably why this full moon was super hard on me. But I feel like what this Scorpio full moon was about, because it was a full moon in the sign of Scorpio opposite the sun in Taurus, right? So we're in Taurus season. It's May. Honestly, I think May and June are my two favorite months of the year. I just flip and love this part where all of a sudden, like any day now, all of the leaves are just going to explode out of every single tree. And it's my favorite. I just love it. I love the rain in May. I love the smell of the air in May and June. It's so beautiful. Anyway, we're in Taurus season for a little while longer. And the sun, so being in Taurus season, it's all about spring. Well, at least in the northern hemisphere anyway, it's all about spring. It's all about new growth. It's just this really beautiful period of new things coming in. And Scorpio in the northern hemisphere, Scorpio season is all about the death and the endings and the decay. And one of my favorite astrologers, although he's in a really crusty mood lately, I just like the astrologer Cam White because he will lay it to you straight. And he's also kind of funny. I subscribe to his membership so that I can get his monthly game plans. And I appreciate the level of performance and preparation he puts into those. But when he was talking about he doesn't really make a big deal about full moons and new moons. But he was talking about this full moon in a cursory way and just saying that it's like clipping the dead growth off of the old growth off of a plant so that the new growth has more room to emerge. And when I heard that, I was like, yup, that is totally what I'm feeling. There's a lot. I feel like, I don't know about all of you, but I sort of feel bloated with old growth. Like there's too much. And this feels like a Jupiter and Gemini thing too. Hopefully you'll be able to follow along with the malnourished tangential ramblings of my brain. But I'm going to come back to the Scorpio full moon, but I'll say, so Jupiter has been in Gemini for a while and I don't love it. I feel like everything is so loud. It's so noisy. There's just so much information everywhere because Jupiter is an expansive force. It's the planet of expansion. And that can be wonderful if you're expanding something you love. And it can be a little much if you're expanding something that you don't necessarily need more of. So with Jupiter and Gemini, right now I just feel like all I want to do is be off the internet because it's so noisy. And in a lot of ways, all I want to do is just do my part to reduce the noise by not showing up and not posting. But unfortunately, that really affects my enrollment levels. So I have to get back to it. But it's so noisy. Everything is so noisy. There's just so many shows, so many streaming services, so many podcasts, so many Instagram accounts, so many flipping meta ads. It makes me feel dizzy and nauseated. That's probably the flu, to be honest. But I feel like I've taken in so much information and I just need some stillness for a while to let it all settle. And taking in all that information is not necessarily bad. Like it wasn't bad information. It's just like you need some integration space now and then. I feel like I need integration space. And also that information that we've all taken in has really catalyzed rapid levels of personal evolution within ourselves, within our framework, our mindset, our interests, our beliefs, our identity, all the things, all the aspects of ourselves. And that means also that a whole bunch of old paradigms, old frameworks, old beliefs, old interests, old identities, all of that is sort of like the dead, well, it's not really growth, but you know what I mean? Like the dead leaves on your plant that need to be trimmed. So it stops sort of like siphoning off of the life force of your plant, you know? I feel like that's what this Scorpio full moon is about, but it has this really deeply excavating emotional level too, where sometimes, well, I guess I'll speak on a personal level of how I'm experiencing it, and you can, take it and apply it to your life or not. But I feel like sometimes there are things that we know we're ready to let go of, but on a logistical level for the 3D human that is still living here and, in relationships and playing roles in other people's lives and paying bills and all that kind of stuff, sometimes it can feel like, you need to let something go, but you don't know how to break the momentum of what you've got going. And it can feel a little bit like, okay, sure, like I can just let this thing go, but does that essentially like pull the rug out from under me? Is it going to upset the whole entire apple cart and like everything is going to fall apart? Yeah, I mean, it can be really scary. I think I'm experiencing it in a way where it feels really scary, where I'm like, I know there's some things I need to let go and they're pretty big and like so much of my life is built around them. And I'm like, damn though, is it safe to let those things go? And the answer is yes, but that's not very soothing to the part of us that has, like deeply ingrained and like genetically inherited survival fears. The answer is yes, because what I keep coming back to, and the only place of relief that I ever find as I grapple with this, is like, just like trust God, And by God, I just mean like the benevolent force. I don't even necessarily mean like the supreme almighty creator or anything like that. I don't mean a God, a God of any particular religion. It's just a word that I'm comfortable using to acknowledge that I do feel benevolent forces of love, and I know that I'm not alone. Like I truly know it and I can feel it. And whenever I tune into it, I'm like, God, I'm so held, and I always have been. And being held when you're alive as a human does not necessarily guarantee that you will never go through hard times. In fact, it doesn't guarantee that you will never go through hard times, because these ups and downs are part of the human experience. It's part of the reality here on earth. Like, it's not smooth sailing for anybody. There are going to be hard things and hard seasons. And also, we are held. I can feel that I am held. And so, on one hand, yes, it is safe to let go, even if I don't know where I'm going and I don't know what's next. I don't know what is going to catch me. I know that something is going to catch me, and I know that that's true, and that's where I find relief. And a lot of the time I can only truly find that relief in a sustained way when I'm just waking up or I'm just falling asleep, because I'll kind of wake up like about 4 or 5 times between the hours of 4 and 6. And I get out of bed roughly at 6 lately, but I kind of wake up between 4 and 6 a number of times, and I'll just repeat gratitude statements to myself, but I just feel them, and it's like, oh my God, I'm so grateful for this bed. I am so grateful for a good night's sleep. I'm so grateful for, I'm usually in William's bed at that point. I'm so grateful for my healthy, delicious, sparkling sun beside me. I'm so grateful for my cat curled up by my legs. I'm so grateful for this pillow. I'm so grateful for this home. Like, I'll just go on and on like that. And then I feel relief from the stress of my ego mind. Hold on. My son, who is home, is calling me. I'll be right back. You won't even know that I was gone, but I'm telling you anyway, because I'm malnourished at the moment and a little sleep deprived. Okay, I'm back. He had to go pee. Anyways, I don't fully remember what I was saying, except that I know that I was talking about, like where I find relief when my ego mind knows I need to let go of things, and they're major things, and I don't know what is replacing them, and that is scary. It's scary. The other place that I find relief is in the evenings before I go to bed. I suppose you could call it meditate. Right now I'm working with my mala beads, and honestly, I listen to Neville Goddard, and I don't really focus on his words, and I just repeat a mantra to myself, and I use whichever one I want to any night. But I'm like focusing on the most beautiful feeling, and like just basically I'm allowing myself to feel the relief as though I'm already on the other side of this. It's already done. It has already been resolved, and I just don't have anything to worry about anymore. And it's almost like I need, during the busyness of the day, my ego mind is like, blah. But in the morning and before bed, that's when my connection to God gets to take over again. And in those moments, I know that I am held, that I am safe, that I can let go of these things that feel really big to let go of and really scary. And it's still frustrating for the ego mind, because it's just like, but how am I going to do this? But when am I going to do that? And what is this person? Like, how is it going to work out with this person? Anyway. So the way that the new moon weekend went for me, the full moon weekend went for me, was that I got the flu and my kids got the flu. And, one of the things is like, I really, 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 it's almost like I needed to have the momentum of my life halted so that I could create the necessary space to really, really acknowledge what has to change. And it was not fun at all. It almost felt like being, I don't know, like having my fingers wrenched open as I was like trying to clutch on to whatever. But my clutch is so tired too, like I've been clutching for a really long time, and my muscles are so fatigued, so I'm still like desperately clutching onto it, but it wasn't really that hard for the universe I was just like, here, have some flu. And I'm like, oh God, fine, I surrender. But it wasn't a fun process. And just as a like grounded example to, I'm Scorpio, private, so I don't always share like the details of what I'm talking about, especially when it involves other people. But I'll give you a grounded example that is just about me to help you understand what I mean. So I've known that I wanted to do another cleanse and another fast, like a juice, whatever, juice cleanse. And then I have this particular cleanse product that I really like. And I know, though, from having done it in the past, that I need to prepare. If I don't prepare for it, I won't succeed at it, which means that I really do need to scale back on the amount of food that I consume leading up to it. And I need to change the things that I have in my house and change my routine so that I can actually succeed at it. And it's not a super long, I'm not going to do any kind of crazy long cleanse probably, but even 3 days can feel really hard when you're just on the hamster wheel of taking care of kids and trying to keep up with all the laundry and trying to keep up with everything that the house needs and the outside property needs and this business needs and that business needs and, whatever. We just got out of tax season, so many things. Anyways, I've known I've been wanting to do this since the fall, but I haven't been able to get off of this GD hamster wheel. And getting the flu was almost like, the way I'm seeing it is oh, you were forced off the hamster wheel for a prolonged period, for over a week. It's 8 days now of being off the hamster wheel and 3 days of really not being able to eat anything except for a few soda crackers and then feeling very queasy about it. So this is the perfect, when I'm feeling better, I won't force myself into it from a place of depletion, but this was the perfect interruption that I needed to break that hamster wheel momentum so that I can do the cleanse that not only my body has been asking for, but also my spirit has been asking for, my mind has been asking for. And I would say it's probably my emotions have been asking for it too. It just does feel like the momentum and the logistics. So it's almost because I wasn't proactively doing the hard work of interrupting my own pattern and momentum to create the logistical changes that would support my success, I got the flu instead. And I got it at the Scorpio full moon, when I also have to release my pathetic weakened death grip on the things I'm afraid to let go of. So anyway, that's my Scorpio medicine. I'm probably not going to talk about any more astrology because I've been rambling for so long. Anyway, we have the next energy report is going to have a big transit to talk about. Saturn shifting out of Pisces for the first time since, I think it's the 90s, 1996 was it? It was the last time it moved into Aries. Anyway, it's craziness. Okay, but enough. We'll save that for the next energy report. I did pull some cards. So I did my usual thing. I pulled 3 tarot cards and 2 oracle cards. The tarot that I use is the Moonchild Tarot by Danielle Noel. And then I used 1 card from Rebecca Campbell's Work Your Light Oracle and 1 card from Jeannine Burgess's Mandala Oracle. Which, shout out to Jeannine. Also, I just want to give a little plug for her. So she created this mandala oracle, and all of the mandalas are hand painted, not computer generated, hand painted, all by hand. They're so gorgeous, and this is such a beautiful oracle deck. I recommend it so much. I feel like Jeannine does a beautiful job at weaving in both the heavier and the lighter aspects of this human existence. And she also is in the process of creating her second oracle deck, which is based on a whole series of paintings she did featuring insects and sacred geometry. And it's so beautiful. And she has a Kickstarter going right now. I will put her Instagram in the show notes, her Instagram handle, so you can go check her out and either buy her oracle deck or support her Kickstarter, because is there a worthier cause than an artist actually doing their work? I don't know. Anyway, so from the tarot, I pulled the Eight of Cups, the High Priestess, and the Page of Wands. And I feel like that this is all talking about everything with the Scorpio full moon energy. So the Eight of Cups is about cutting your losses, and it's more about the emotional side of cutting your losses and allowing yourself to grieve. Like last night, I actually had to have a cry because I made some decisions last night that were hard to make, and I've been resisting for a while. I'm waffling. Waffling is the worst. Don't you hate waffling? I hate waffling. But I've been waffling. And last night I just made decisions to let go of some things. And it was emotional. And I actually had to have a cry. And the Eight of Cups is about cutting your losses and letting yourself feel the feelings around it. And sometimes you won't immediately regain those losses. You won't immediately recoup them. And, in the game of life, I really don't believe in failure. And that's one thing that I love about myself. And in a lot of ways, I have a really powerful mindset that I've chosen to cultivate. And that's one of them is I just don't believe in failure. And, I just believe in mutation. That's all. I believe in evolution. And I believe that sometimes we have things that on the surface look like a total success and they feel like a success. And then we also have things that look like failures, but really those are just deep lessons and deep alchemy. And we want to learn lessons. Listen, we don't want to sit on the fucking sidelines and get a participation ribbon at the end of this life. Do you? I don't. I'm assuming you don't. Because who does? Who wants a participation ribbon at the end? Oh, good job. You came to Earth and you did nothing. But, here's a ribbon so that you still feel good about yourself. I'm also not knocking participation ribbons in children's sports because I do think that, anyway, I'm not going to get on a tangent. But I'm just saying, as adults, I don't believe in failure. I just believe that you do things and you try them, and sometimes they work the way you want them to and sometimes they don't, but you always get a return on interest, but that return on investment, but that return on investment may not always be the direct way that you wanted it to come. It may be more in the form of a strengthening of your mindset, or encountering yourself at a deeper level, or an identity alchemy, or learning a really valuable lesson, or being shown who is actually in your corner and who is a fair weather friend, or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes the recoup is not the direct recoup that you wanted to get, but it was still worth it. Is it what is the alternative? To just do nothing in life? That's what I'm saying. So, Eight of Cups. Feeling the feels around letting go of things that maybe you've been holding on to for longer than you should. It's often about relationships. This is often a breakup card. But it doesn't have to be a breakup card. It's acknowledging endings and probably long overdue endings. And the emotions that have been holding us back from actually calling it and just saying there's nothing to resuscitate here. It's time to let it go. And then the emotions that we have to feel once we actually just make that call. And I was jazzed to see the High Priestess come up next. I feel like I haven't seen her in quite a while, but the High Priestess is so enigmatic that it's hard to pin her message down. But just when I see her in the context of this, I don't know, she's kind of looking at me in this confrontational way and being are you a bad bitch or are you a bad bitch? Feel your feelings for sure. There is, softness is not weakness. Emotions are not weakness. In fact, feeling our feelings and allowing ourselves to be soft, that is a strength. But she's also are you the head head witch in charge. Like, what's going on here? Yes, you are. So you're fine. Don't make this mean anything about you. And I personally, on a personal level, I have been making this mean things about me. I've been, my last energy report, I was like, I'm in the 5D. And I was, and it was beautiful. And I knew I was going to drop back down into the 4D. And here I am in the 4D, encountering all kinds of like self-criticism and, whatever, all kinds of stuff that I feel like the high priestess is just like, come on though. You know better than that. You know who you actually are. You know what you're here to do. And she's not just saying it to me. She's saying it to all of us. Like, are you a deeply magical priestess, like bridge between this earthly realm and other dimensions, or what? The answer is yes. That's what you are. And if you're a guy, whatever, same diff. You are, I guess the point is like, we're so much stronger and so much more resilient than we often give ourselves credit for. But it's not the kind of strength and resilience that's like of the warrior. It's a strength and resilience of like a very, very tested and wise soul who has been through a lot and has passed through many initiation gates before. Many. And so it's kind of like, why are you going to let this one get you down? Come on. Like, give yourself more credit than that. You are so powerful. You are so magical. I don't know. She's just looking at me like she doesn't have a lot of empathy. She's going to let me take my time to feel my feelings, but she's like, and get up. And then the Page of Wands, this one was exciting for me because the Page of Wands is like the newbie initiate embarking on something fresh and exciting that like, you're all energized for. I haven't found that thing in myself yet, but I feel like it's almost like we've had to clear out this old stuff first and all of its associated, frameworks, beliefs, etc., identity, versions, in order to make room for this next new thing that is like exciting and fresh. And I remember the last time I was really and truly in Page of Wands energy, and it was intoxicatingly wonderful and exciting. And I'm so excited to feel that again and get back there again. And in the meantime, I can submit to the high priestess while also deferring to myself as my own high priestess and exist in the void without being whiny about it. Maybe as I've been sick, I've been a little bit whiny about it, to be honest, without continuing to be whiny about it. I can be in the unknown and be okay. It's all right. It's funny because in other ways, I've demonstrated that to myself time and again. And in recent months, I've demonstrated that to myself. But in it's like we can master this in one area of life, but then still struggle with it in another area. It's really funny. Anyways, the Rebecca Campbell Oracle card that I pulled is a repeat. So I was going to say repeat offender, but it's not an offense. It's beautiful. It's a repeat messenger. Birthing a new age, birthing new creations, dreaming a new world into being. And I just love seeing this card, and I love how often I feel like I've seen it doing these energy reports over the months, because it's just a reminder that like, yep, this is what's happening. This is all part of the process. We have to release the things that can't come with us into the new age, that can't come with us into the new world. They don't belong there. They won't fit there. We actually can't get there while we're trying to hold on to them. It's a little bit like, to me, this threshold feels so much like dying. I know in March when I first was like, holy shit, we've landed in the 5D. The way that I was mentally processing it was like, I kept wondering if I had actually died because it felt so different. It felt so different just on a frequency level. And it still kind of feels like that. Like that's the level of transition we're making. It's a similar kind of threshold where, for example, what I mean when I say like we can't even bring these things with us, even if we wanted to. It's not possible. It's not a frequency match. It isn't possible. What I mean is like, you know how they say that you can't bring your money with you when you die or any of your material possessions? It's pretty much the same thing, but it's not limited to the material. It obviously we can't bring our money with us when we die. But I don't think we're actually dying. I think we're just shifting into the fifth dimension. And every time I'm there, it feels so different from when I'm back down here in the familiar labyrinthine territory of the fourth dimension. If you don't know what I mean, because usually we talk about it between like 3D to 5D, but like whatever. The 3D is just physical reality. The 3D is not a problem. The 3D is not what we are bumping up against. It's the fourth dimension where all of our stories exist and all of our beliefs, all of our limiting beliefs, all of our positive beliefs, everything, all of that's where we get stuck, is in the fourth dimension. It's all our stories and our wounds and our grudges, and it's all that. It's intangible. So we can't bring the 3D with us either. We can't bring physical paper and coin money with us. Not that that's what most of us use anymore, but whatever. We can't bring the physical paper and coin money with us, when we die or when we transition to the fifth dimension. But that's not really what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like we can't bring these old patterns of self-doubt and self-limitation and these old grudges. We can't bring them with us into the fifth dimension. Every time we will just get spat back into the fourth dimension to sort it out there. And I feel like that's what's happened to me. Only this time I had the wherewithal to recognize it and understand it. But it's just like we are birthing a new age. And this birthing process is challenging. It requires so much personal self-awareness and self-responsibility. And it depends on the kind of person you are too. Like, children aren't going to struggle with this the way that adults do. And people who are neurodivergent may not struggle with this the way that adults do. Animals are not going to struggle with this. Why? Because all of those groups don't have the same attachment to stories that the rest of us do. Now, neurodivergency is that is a very broad umbrella term to describe an array of very unique ways of processing reality. So I can't actually say that people who are neurodivergent don't have fourth dimensional stories, because how the fuck would I know that? Unless I've literally interviewed every single one of them and probably gone into their Akashic records, and that's not going to happen. So just understand that what I mean is like, this is challenging to the extent that we have ego investment in stories, grudges, wound stories, because what happens is we experience these wounds and then we create a story around it to protect that wound. But then the wound never fully gets to heal, So like, for example, I was just thinking about this morning. I had childhood asthma, really, really bad. And I didn't actually get an inhaler, I think, until I was 8 years old. So for the first 8 years of my life, I had the kind of asthma attacks that required frequent middle of the night trips to the emergency room. And that shaped my concept of self so drastically. One way that it shaped my concept of self is that I came to understand myself as being bad at sports. Is that objectively true? No. But because I couldn't do any kind of physical activity for a sustained period without having like a really severe asthma attack and struggling to breathe, I formulated an identity that I'm bad at sports. And I've carried that identity with me my whole life. The only time I've ever played a team sport was in my last year of high school when I played field hockey, and I actually loved it. And was I good at it? Well, no, because I hadn't played sports that whole time. I was constantly exempted from gym because I would have asthma attacks all the time. It was crazy. So anyway, that's what I mean. Like, we've built these identity constructs that aren't actually true. We're not wrong for having built them. I'm not wrong for having made that assumption about myself. But do I have to carry it forward? No. Is it continuously true? No, not at all. My asthma is so much better now. I rarely need to use my medication. Very rarely. A couple times a year. And so it's like, this doesn't have to be this long, laborious process of, taking like grueling inventory of every belief that we ever have had. But as the beliefs are brought to our awareness and as we're pulled into the 4D, it's like just allowing our consciousness to become fluid so that we can realign with the truth of who we are and what we are in this moment now, not based on the history of the cumulative experiences we've had, but who we are now, unburdened by all of that. Which is the perfect segue into the last oracle card that I pulled from Jeannine Burgess's Mandala Oracle, and it is the Purification card. And it says, tap into the energy of water and dip into a vortex of swirling energy. Allow it to wash away any impurities in your energetic field. Allow yourself to release what no longer serves into the flow and begin to move freely around any obstacles you may encounter. I feel like I was advised by my own Akashic guidance. But that's because I'm a human. And I mean, that's what it is to be a channel. It's to be able to tap into a higher stream of consciousness and awareness while you also live out a very humble flawed human experience, ego and all. So as I was reading those words from Jeannine's card, I was just like, oh, that's the answer to all of it. And like, I just don't have to tie myself in all these knots. I'm doing it to myself. I don't have to tie myself into all these knots. I can just flow. Just release the things that no longer serve and begin to move freely around any obstacles. I can feel how optional all of this struggle is. And this is what I mean. The parts of me that are invested in the struggle, those are the parts that can't come to the 5D because they don't resonate in the 5D. And so I can't, if I'm giving more of my attention to that, then I can't be in the 5D because they don't exist there. They only exist here in the 4D. And so I am the one that has to choose, just as we all are. But in this case, I'm just sharing vulnerably about myself. I am the one that has to choose to transcend this identification with the struggle. And not perpetuate a perception of how hard this is while still allowing myself to feel my human feelings. So it's not spiritual bypassing, but it's just like, like in this moment, I'm like, God, Amy, you've made this so much harder than it has to be. Like, just let it go. Just let it flow. Just let it all be exactly what it is. Let life unfold through me and not try to like squeeze or grip onto any of it or control it, not try to micromanage it out of fear, but just let it all evolve without attaching to any of it, because I'm essentially a soul living this temporary, ephemeral, trippy ass incarnation in this materially manifested realm, which is essentially like a holographic dream projection with all of you. That's what's going on here. And if I can just sit back and let it flow, it's going to flow so much more easily. Anyways, I hope that this resonates for you in the way that it needs to, and I hope that it has sparked insights within you, because you have all of the insights and the wisdom inside of yourself, and I just know that I'm a catalyst and an activator to sort of help like just ping those insights within you so that you become more aware of them and you notice them. So I trust that it serves. And if you like this podcast, then please leave a rating and a review. That's really helpful. It just helps on Apple anyways. I don't know if Spotify lets you rate and review, but on Apple Podcasts, it helps I don't really know if it's an algorithm in the same way that we experience other algorithms, but it tells Apple to recommend this podcast to more people who are listening to similar kind of topics. And that would mean a lot to me. And also, if you are interested in becoming an Akashic Records reader or developing your abilities as a channel or an oracle or a healer, my 9-month certification for you to become a professional Akashic Records reader, healer, oracle, channel is currently enrolling. We start in mid-June, and this is my highest level group mentorship where I just like peel back the curtain on everything, and it is truly my deepest desire to set you up to feel so confident and so clear at what you're good at. And there's like baked in practice. There's a ton of personal mentorship. There's business mentorship. There's like, the questions of like pricing and how to get clients and how to set all the things up. And it's all rooted in what I call crystal heart ethics and standards of practice. And I know that there are other, like, I'm never going to be the kind of person that's like, it's the only course or the only program like it out there. I know that other courses exist, other certifications exist, but I do believe that having all of this baked in practice and so many opportunities to receive deep mentorship and ask the questions, because man, weird shit happens in Akashic Records readings. Like, there's so many weird things that, like, what do you do if you all of a sudden, like, start seeing aliens in the middle of a reading and the person didn't even ask questions about aliens? Or what do you do if somebody repeatedly no-shows you, or you're having a pattern of being no-showed by people or canceled on? Like, there's just so many pieces that go into being a professional Akashic Records reader beyond the skill of reading the Akashic Records for other. And of course, that's the foundational skill, is learning to access the Akashic Records and learning to be an oracle and a channel within that field, learning how to read other people with clarity and accuracy, learning how to bring through healing energy and healing codes and facilitate healings. That is the core foundation of all of it. But there are all these other pieces that come up that I've just never heard anybody else talk about, and I was never able to find the mentorship that I would have benefited from when I was, along my journey. Still would love to have this kind of mentorship, but I've never found it. Somebody who's willing to just truly pull back the curtain and be so completely transparent, which is what I'm here for. I don't want to hide anything from you or, position myself as some kind of guru. I'm not. I'm just a girl who literally wanted to be psychic, had no idea that I was psychic, completely dismissed and discounted all of my psychic experiences and my psychic abilities for, through my entire 20s and the early part of my 30s, and then figured out that I was psychic and then went for it and created a business doing this and learned along the way. And it was not easy. And there are many, many, many times that I very nearly quit because I didn't have the mentorship that I would have wanted. And like I said, that I still want in so many ways. It's just nice to have a mentor that shares. Anyway, that is open for enrollment. So I'll put the link in the show notes so you can check it out. And because this is a higher investment program, if you have questions and you want to have a conversation about it, just email me and, we'll absolutely have a conversation about it to make sure that it is the right fit for you. It's on early bird right now, so you can save quite a hefty chunk of change if you sign up before the end of May. Okay, I love you guys so much, and I will catch you on the next energy report.